let's make sure. I think it's shared, but well, now it
Okay, I
is.
think we're all live.
Give me a second while I make sure.
Oh, uh,
Did you see it? All right, we're good, I think. Okay. I think we're good. I shared it. Can you hear me? Hello?
okay. I just am not hearing you through my earbuds, but that's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we made it.
Yep. Okay, you ready to roll?
Go ahead.
All right. So welcome to our first Stanley Cup 2025 playoff post game. We're going to actually wrap up the first two nights of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We just got finished with night number two, and probably the best game of the
Yes.
five that have been played so far between Las Vegas and Minnesota. Um, so, of course, Carson's joining me tonight, and we're going to be doing this. We're going to try to do this every night after all the games are done,
Yeah.
and it's so far, Carson, of the five games.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back to Saturday. The two games on Saturday were close for a while, but then in the
And then
third
they,
period, kind of broke
yeah,
open
yeah,
between Colorado and Dallas,
yeah.
and also the earlier game between
This is,
Winnipeg and
yeah,
St.
this
Louis.
Minnesota Vegas game, I believe, was the first one of the playoffs where a team had to pull their goalie. I
Yeah,
think this was the first time it got to that situation where a team had to actually pull their goalie. So that just tells you that up to this point, the games haven't been super close. But I mean, there's only been half of the round has pretty much started. Pretty much, there's three matchups that haven't yet. So there's probably a lot of chaos in store in these series.
yeah. So let's start back with the game between Winnipeg and St.
St.
Louis.
Louis, yeah,
St. Louis looked really good in the game, I thought.
they did.
And then, like I said, in the third period, they just kind of fell apart a little
Well,
bit.
Winnipeg got
Um,
that late goal, like 2 minutes
yeah,
left in the game. That's a backbreaker.
yeah, it was a total backbreaker. But I think that St. Louis are going to hold their own. I don't think they're going to beat Winnipeg, but I think St. Louis will hold their own. And then again, you go to the Dallas game, Dallas and Colorado, and again, what it looked good for a while, and then all of a sudden, Colorado gets three in the third period to run away with that game.
Yeah, and
What's up? What's going on with Dallas? Like this is,
right.
if you count the regular season, this is their eighth loss in a row.
Yeah, and it's crazy because after this game, DeBoer said that this is the best game they played since that losing streak, and they still lost by four.
Yeah,
That tells you
yeah,
something. They lost by 4 goals, and that's the best game he thought they've played since the losing streak. Um, which ironically, that started at my game, the Pittsburgh game. That's when that started up, that losing streak for Dallas.
yeah,
But
and
yeah, I'm
uh,
concerned for Dallas. I really am at this point.
yeah, I am too because Dallas, that's not the Dallas that we're used to seeing.
No,
And I don't know if they're going to get out of the first round.
no,
To
and I
be
mean
honest with
they're
you,
they're in a situation where they could be where they were last year, being down 2-0 going on the road. And this is a deep Colorado team that is deeper than last year's team. And that's going to be a big problem. Already you're at a disadvantage as a road team playing there because of the altitude, but now you're going to have to deal with that and being down 2-0 to a team that can literally just win one of those games and they're up 3-0 or 3-1. That's a big difference
yeah, if Dallas doesn't come back and win game
tomorrow.
two, they're in big trouble. I just can't see them coming back and going into Colorado, and they may
Beating them.
win a game in Colorado, but I don't know. And like at the start of the playoffs, about or even a month ago, I was thinking Dallas could be one of the teams that could go all the way in the West. And now the way they kind of fallen off the table, I
Um,
just don't think that
injuries and
they're gonna do it.
yeah, injuries, and I mean, we really didn't talk about it since um, well tonight, but the Robertson injury, he's week to week, and he shouldn't have had to play.
Yeah,
He got hurt in game 82, and he's out week to week. Who knows when he'll be back? Haskinen, don't know about that. That's two big losses on that team that they don't have, and they would make a difference. But all I'm saying is that this series is going to determine if Mikko Rantanen's worth what he was proving or showing himself to be, or making himself to
yeah,
be, because he was making himself look like a prima donna, that he had to be in this pristine location that he wanted to be, and everything had to be centered the way he wanted it. And he really, in my opinion, hasn't done much of anything. I think I hardly hear his name when I hear about the games. Again, when I went to the game a couple weeks ago, I didn't realize he was on the team until like halfway through, and I saw
yeah.
him skating. I'm like, oh crap, I forgot Mikko Rantanen's in Dallas now. Like he, in my opinion, he hasn't been that good. Not what he's making himself or showing or thinking he is.
Yeah, so I just don't know. I don't know where he's going to land. I don't know who would want him.
Well,
You
Dallas
probably
locked
get
him up long
one of
term now.
the
They're kind of done. Well, that done, but that's it. Like they locked him up for 8 years.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I just don't think it was the a move that was a very smart move. Okay, let's move on. So right now, Colorado leads their series 1-0 over Dallas, and Winnipeg has a 1-0 lead. And Colorado, the only visiting team to win so
To win.
far
Yeah.
in the first round. Let's move on to earlier today in a series that both of us are kind of like, I'm not too interested in it. New Jersey and Carolina again took care of New Jersey like New
Oh my God.
Jersey
They
like forgot to
literally
show up to play.
Carolina had the puck literally the whole time. It literally
Yeah,
felt like the whole time. If New Jersey had the puck, it was gone like 5 seconds later, and the Canes had the puck. I mean, they were at one point out shooting them, nearly 40 to 16, 15. Like that's pretty crazy. And yeah, New Jersey didn't show up. I mean, they got that one goal at the end of the second, but they didn't show up at all. And you know, they had a couple injuries. Brendan Dillon got hurt in that game, one of their defensemen. Luke Hughes got banged up a little bit, so we'll see how that affects him going forward. And then, did you see that Markstrom had hurt Cody Glass, his own player, by accident in that game
yeah,
because he tried swiping? I think it was at Svechnikov, and he ended up
yeah.
hitting
And
Glass
he hit his own
instead.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah, so who knows how that's going to look if he's going to be out. But yeah, I mean, we said it. We both agreed the Devils are done for.
yeah,
I mean, they lost their big piece in Jack Hughes, and that's proven to be a problem for them. I mean, I really think even with him, they couldn't contain that Carolina team, and it's just because of how they swarm the puck. They get it they're on the defensive, and whoever's the other, like New Jersey, as soon as New Jersey touches it, Carolina's all over them. The only way that the Canes get beat is if they have to play a team that's going to force them to sit back, that can make them sit back, that has a lot of offensive
hmm
firepower, that can make them literally sit back and not be as aggressive because they can't afford to make a mistake. And they're not getting to that point in New Jersey. It's like playing with food, with kids' food. They just have free reign to do what they want, in my opinion, from what
yeah.
I watched.
No, New Jersey is just like going to be outclassed. I don't even know this may just go 4 games. This one.
Yeah, it could. With how it went today, it could. I mean, again, I really, even with Jack Hughes in there, I don't see it being much of a different series. In all honesty, I really
No.
don't. I mean, they're literally getting owned. The
You
only
you
thing
just said
that,
it. You just said it. They're outclassed. They're
yeah,
being
and
outclassed
yeah,
by Carolina.
the only advantage that the Devils have over Carolina is that their penalty kill is number two in the league, whereas Carolina's power play is like bottom tier in the league.
Yeah,
But with how good they are fire for the Canes were 5-on-5, I mean, it doesn't really matter. And they had a power play goal in there. So,
yeah.
I mean, and again, the big old Miko trade that Stankoven that went back to Carolina, he had 2 goals
hmm
today. I mean, that I don't know. I watched that team today. They look like a little bit of a different Carolina Hurricane team than years past. But again, that's only game one, but definitely off to a hot start against the Devils.
Yeah. Now the second game was very hyped game between the Battle of Ontario, Toronto and Ottawa, and I was looking forward to watching this game
Hmm.
very much. My problem with the game, and Toronto did come out and win the game. I think it was 6-2.
6-2.
Ottawa were undisciplined.
Hmm.
If they stayed out of the penalty box, they probably would have had a better shot of winning this game.
Yeah.
But I just think that they were undisciplined in the game today.
Yeah, and I mean, they a lot of those guys haven't played in the playoffs. They're getting their feelers for it. I mean, I know they did get crushed, but I think that's a good game one. You get your feelers out of there. You know, Toronto has somewhat been a good game one team. You know, they win game one off the bat, but I think this gets the feelers out for Ottawa, just how to handle a game like this. Um, I don't know. If I'm them, I'm not too concerned with I mean, they just got to shore it up a little bit with
Hmm.
structure, but I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I mean, I think they're gonna be okay. I think the big key is can Brady really work his magic and get under the skin of the big guys because they all played good. All of them had
Hmm.
2 points tonight, the big four, and that's the difference for that team. If they can shut down those guys and break up the chemistry, that's where
Yeah.
the Sens have the advantage. Um,
I
yeah.
think if Ottawa can get into those guys' head like Boston did last year in the
Yes.
playoffs, then that team will fall apart. Toronto
Yeah.
will fall apart.
Yeah. And I mean, truthfully, this series is far from over. I think it's going to be a long series. Toronto's gonna have to go to Ottawa, and Ottawa hasn't had a playoff game in 8 years. Those fans are ready to
Hmm.
see their team. I think we're gonna see a different Senators team. What would be on Tuesday night, I guess, the next game. We're gonna see a different Ottawa team. I think
Yeah.
not parading to the penalty box. I definitely think there were a couple questionable calls in that game, but literally though, at the end of the game, they just were given Toronto power plays left and right, which isn't the
Yeah.
key to beating that team.
Yeah. And then the wrap-up game, and we both agree probably the best game of the playoffs so far, between Las Vegas and Minnesota. And Minnesota played them tough. That was an up and down game.
Mm,
It was probably the best playoff atmosphere game of the five that have been played so far. And Minnesota didn't go away. They got down 3-1, and then in the third period, but came back and went right down to the wire. Like you said, the only game that you had see the goaltender getting
mm,
pulled because of needing an extra attacker. Minnesota's going to be tough on Vegas.
mhm.
This could go the distance, like you had mentioned. You texted this could go seven.
Yeah, and I mean it's low shot volume for the most part. Both teams were in the early 20s as far as their shot totals, and I think I texted you too. This is a playoff game. This was a
Yeah,
playoff hockey game at its finest. I mean, tons of hits, uh, back and forth action each way. I mean, this is going to be a long series. The Wild played a really good game. They just didn't come out on top. I think about that locker room. Yeah, you're disappointed you didn't win, but I think you're happy with the effort
yeah,
you put out there. I think just same thing is kind of with Ottawa, just making sure you stay disciplined and not go into the box because that power play will make them pay. It's also going to be interesting to see the other way, though, how the Minnesota power play does in this series because they had one tonight, but I think that that's a lethal power play if they get it together.
yeah.
But nothing to be concerned about. They played a really good game, and just one of those instances you just don't come out on the right side of it sometimes.
Yeah, I think that series could go a long ways. Now, there are three series that haven't started yet. Two of them will start tomorrow night, and then one will start on Tuesday. Tomorrow night, it'll be Washington and Montreal playing in their game one.
Yep.
Edmonton and the Kings will play their game one tomorrow night,
Hmm.
and not until Tuesday will we see the Battle of Florida between Tampa Bay
Yep.
and the Florida Panthers. So it's kind of weird that they have the Florida Tampa
Yes.
game starting so much later
I
than.
think it's to stagger the games so there's a lot more games in one night as they go. So there'll be 4 games pretty much every night the rest of the way for this round. Because they start Tuesday and then tomorrow. You mentioned the games tomorrow that are starting for the series. Um, you know, uh, Dallas, Colorado plays again, and Winnipeg, St. Louis play again. So there's gonna be
Mhm.
4 games pretty much every day for the next probably couple weeks, which is going to be nice for the fans to see that many hockey games,
Yeah.
especially.
All right, well, let's kind of take a look at the three series that hasn't started yet. We'll start with Washington, Montreal. Montreal gets in, and I think that's especially when they get to the Bell Center in Montreal,
Yeah,
that's going to be an
that's
atmosphere
the
like I
best
don't
home
think
ice
the
advantage I
Capitals have
think in the
seen.
playoffs.
Washington is the number one seed in the East, but they're a number one seed that if you shut down one guy, they could get out of the playoffs really quick. And like uh, what happened to Washington last year when they lost in the first round, they shut down Ovechkin, and what do they have? You know, they don't.
They barely scored any goals last
Yeah, they
year.
don't have anybody to put the puck in the net.
But
So
at the same time, I feel like Washington did get deeper, but I do see that being a problem if Ovechkin gets shut down. Truthfully, I mean, again, this is going to be a goaltending series, so I'm assuming Montembeault starts for
mhm,
Montreal. How is he going to be able to perform? Because if he's not very good, then that's it. Because
yeah,
when he's not good, he'll let in a lot, but when he's on it, he's on it. Um, I don't know. I think that the Canadians are going to be able to break through Washington's structure because they're just so fast and they're young. They're a young, fast team, and I think they're going to be able to break through that and really kind of push it a little bit.
yeah.
Now this will be a long series. I think either way. Like I think I could see it going six. People are, I think, are underestimating Montreal, and I mean, yeah, I get it. They haven't been that good for a while, but they're they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and they're a young team. I mean, this is
Mhm.
a Montreal team that's probably going to be making the playoffs now consistently for a while. So this is kind of the start of their rise, but I could see them really taking it to Washington if they can shut Ovechkin down, like you said.
Like, and you look at Montreal, young team. You look at the young teams in this playoffs. With nothing to lose. If they're playing the higher
Yeah,
seeds, they're
yeah.
playing.
They're not
Um,
expected to win. There's no pressure
no,
on them.
so the pressure's off of them. They can just, Montreal can go in
Yeah,
there, win one of the
yeah.
first two
There's a lot
games
of
in
pressure on the
Washington.
a lot of pressure on the Capitals, mainly because of the record.
Yep.
Ovechkin breaks this goal scoring record. You know, I mean, it's a great thing to see, but his team needs to be successful then after that. I feel like, in my opinion, but we'll see. I mean, it's going to be, I'm really excited for that game. I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm going to be tuning into that for sure.
The other series that'll start tomorrow night is the one I'm, of course, really interested in. Edmonton and Los Angeles from Crypto.com Arena in LA. First time, well, fourth year in a row that the Oilers and Kings
The
meet up
first
in the
time the
first round.
Kings
The
have.
first time that the Kings get home ice. This is going to be an interesting series with the all the injuries the Oilers had at the end of the season. These guys should be rested. There's going to be
Yeah.
a couple of guys that were expected to play in Game One. I don't think Evander Kane's going to play in Game One. Matthias Ekholm isn't going to play at all in the first round. But they're going to get Draisaitl back, and Hyman's going to be back, and so you're going to see the lines back to the way they were. You're going to see the power play back up to full strength, which it hasn't been for the last 10 or 12 games. As LA is going to be tough this year. Like I think you mentioned it a few weeks ago. This is could be the best chance for LA to beat the Oilers
Hmm.
and get out of the first
Yeah.
round. Um, I think what is going to come down to on the Oilers side of it is like we've talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks, goaltending and Evan Bouchard
Yeah.
and the defense. And like if Bouchard can eliminate
His
the
mistakes.
mistakes that he makes in his own zone, and if the goaltending is solid, Stu
Yeah. Well,
between Stu and Pick can
step it
get
up.
just give up a goal or two a game.
Well,
You know that the Oilers have the offense to get
yeah.
three or four.
Yeah. And I mean,
But that's going to
I could also see that being a scoring series, really,
yeah,
where there's just a lot more goals than the others.
yeah. So that's going to be an interesting series. That's going to go at least a sixer, I think. And then the other series that won't start until Tuesday that we haven't talked about is the Florida series, Florida and Tampa Bay.
I'm
And I'm still
excited for
sticking
that
to my
one.
guns going, I got Tampa Bay in this one. I just don't think after 2 years in a row of going to the Stanley Cup final and winning it, the Panthers
Florida.
have got much gas left in the tank, especially, I just think that Tampa has come a long ways in the last 20, 25 games. And I just don't see how Florida can muster up enough. Bob is going to have to stand on his head for the entire time if they have any shot of winning. But I still think Tampa Bay's got too
Yeah.
much talent, too much
Uh,
firepower on that team to not get past
yeah.
Florida.
And I'm really excited for that series. I think it's going to be really good. I mean, aggressive. Those guys don't like each other. They played against each other a few times, especially in the regular season, but in the playoffs, they played against each other recently a couple times. It's going to be a feisty series, but yeah, I got Tampa winning that one too. I think Vasilevsky back on peak form. They got better this year. Tampa Bay got better. Forward
Hmm.
depth got better. I mean, this is a really good team. That's big reason why in my bracket I have them winning the whole thing because I think they're just that good. You can't
Yeah.
take that team out of the equation. They lost guys and they replaced them with guys that fit really well and are younger and are going to make them better in the
Hmm.
long term.
But so that'll be the third and the last series to get going. We got a long ways to go. We just got started with the first couple of games. Tomorrow night we got 4 games. The Edmonton LA game is the last game, so we'll come on after that game, probably about this time. It's a late one, but we'll come on and we'll kind of wrap up day 3
Yep.
of the Stanley Cup playoffs tomorrow night. This is a great time of the year if you're just a casual hockey fan, tune in, to the
Yeah.
Stanley Cup playoffs. You're going to see incredible
Action.
skill. You're going to action up and down the ice. Every team has a shot. Every team has a shot. Um, right now, only one visiting team has
Has
won
one.
so far in the first 5 games, but it's so unpredictable because
Yep.
you could get a team like Minnesota that could come on
Yeah.
and do some real damage. You got a team like St. Louis that even though they gave up a few goals in the third period the other night
They
against
could get
Winnipeg,
it.
they
They
could
could
do
get
some
it
damage
done.
against Winnipeg too.
Yeah, they could get it done. Who knows? I mean, it's unpredictable.
So,
We'll see.
well, so all right, Car, it was a great first couple of nights of the
Yep.
Stanley Cup playoffs. We've got about 2 months, a little bit more than 2 months to
Yeah.
go of this, and we're just going to be with you all the time. You can catch us on the Best Boy Sunrise podcast on YouTube. We'll be doing a lot of stuff here, like I said, every night here on Facebook Live. So
Yeah.
just catch it, join
Check us
us if
out.
if you can. You can basically almost count on us being on about later in the evening, just
At
after
the
the
final
last game is
games,
played
usually
that
play
night.
around 11:45.
Yeah, we'll be on. All right, so we're going to do this all again tomorrow. Thanks again to the Refocus Radio Network and Shemaya Reed with I Am Refocus Radio. Check him out on the Refocus Radio Network, along with Rudy Campos Jr. and Sweep the League, and then of course us. We'll have our regular podcast, of course, on Tuesday. As well. Well, maybe we'll just do the wrap up on Tuesday and forego the podcast. But we're going to be
We'll
around
figure it
every
out.
night covering the Stanley Cup. If you need your Stanley Cup playoff fix, you come and join us every night after the last game is played, and we'll get that for you. All right. Well, as I always say, and Carson loves when I say
Yeah.
this. In the meantime, and in between time, everybody have a great hockey night.
Bye, Dad.
Bye, Dad. Bye, Car.